So you cannot say you are not connected to the world. You also cannot say you do not understand technology. These two things you cannot deny. If you have a smartphone in your pocket, yes. What kind of information that is passed on to you? Everything. Are you connected to rest of the world? Just think of a small situation. You do not receive any message on your WhatsApp for last 15 minutes. What do you do?
You will generate.
You will generate. That's interesting answer. So you want to keep communicating with X, Y or Z. Same thing has happened with the government. Government keeps communicating. The problem is communication we do not want to read. In good old days, export promotion councils used to send circulars and letters, and you used to get information maybe 20 days later or 25 days later. And today you get information yesterday. Because what they want to load tomorrow, they put it on the website one day before. This is what it is. The question is who will read? But those days are not far. I believe that one day will come where you will have these notifications on Facebook also. So you don't want to read the government website? Okay, you are anyway going to see the Facebook, so I will send it to you on your mobile. You can't help it. The expansion of technology cannot be avoided. And if expansion of technology cannot be avoided, you got to accept it. There is no option. There is one more point, very interesting point. Most of you, I am very proud of Tirupur, let me say. Two things. One, it is one of the strongest textile center. Second, its voice is heard. We do not hear all over India if you go to different clusters. Tirupur is very respected because of its exports. And this is the second year in continuation where our exports are not growing. And that downfall is substantial. We had a target of $500 billion in 2009-14 policy. Our last year exports were 262 billion. And let me tell you, this year exports will not cross 280 billions. And we have a target of 600 billions for 2020. So we require growth in percentage of 30% plus if you want to achieve that figure. Our actual growth is 3.5. That 3.5 growth is also in last 3-4 months. Otherwise, we have been continuously sliding down. And our total penetration in the world market is only 1.6% when it comes to exports. Now, what are the reasons? There are two primary reasons. We believe export has to be incentivized. So, all across India, wherever I go, people only want incentives. Now, this is a story like you are giving pocket money to your child. My question is, till what age? Your child has become 25. Now, you are supposed to give him pocket money? Now, he has become 40. Is he supposed to give you money or you are supposed to give him money? But we love this subject. Now, every government follows what people say. So, no government ever tells you openly that I will not give you incentives. So, they keep on telling me, yes, we will look into. Please give this presentation, that presentation, we will look into. What are the compulsions? Nobody bothers about. Tell me, would you give pocket money to a child, however dear he is, who is 40 years of age? Or will you become rude with him someday, that enough? I have done enough for you, now get lost. These are actual problems. So we need to understand what are the changes that are taking world over and how those changes are impacting India. So we start with our agenda today. First we will discuss Trade Facilitation Agreement, then we will discuss Authorized Economic Operator System, and then we will go into anti-subsidy and countervailing measures, and here I am going to specifically talk about what is the future of incentives. And I can pinpointedly tell you the date also. Don't worry, it's nothing secret about it, it's only a matter of study. And when study is supported by actual documents, nobody can deny that. So we'll look into this. What exactly is trade facilitation? Understand a very simple thing, because I was a member of a task force of Government of India And this was my pet project, how to reduce transaction cost in exports. I was one of the 16 people selected from all over India, and when I was selected, I told them, you will not like me, because I am going to speak the truth. They said, no, we want somebody who speaks the truth and who will not agree with whatever we are saying. And then there were 6 committee reports, then Task Force 2, Padmanabhan Committee, Parthasarathi Shom Committee put together. The transaction cost in India related to exports is anywhere between 12% to 17%. This can be mapped. If you read the Parthasarathi Shom Committee report, it gives you all the transaction cost for every simple thing. So if you want to be competitive, you need to reduce the cost. And incentives don't help you, because ultimately incentives get passed on. How, I will explain you a little later, but they get passed on. You cannot actually return them. It's an artificial reduction in cost. It's not the real reduction in cost. If you want cost reduction, it has to come from systematic reduction. And one step which has already been taken by the government, that they would like to continue with an idea of paperless transactions. And this is most important for India. For a simple reason, most of our cost is in movement of papers. I need a person, take these, go to customs, another fellow, take these papers, go to excise, third fellow, take these papers, go to DGFT, fourth fellow, go to Export Inspection Council, fifth fellow, go to Textile Commissioner's office. So 5 people are running around something, and most of the time this job is duplicate. You tell me, what is so special in excise other than the details of shipping bill and details of EBRC? Why do you want a separate rebate claim? What is the need? The rebate on excise duty is granted to you based on shipping bill. Along with shipping bill, you file another document called ARE. On that ARE, again the same custom officer signs goods have been exported. Based on that, rebate is credited. Now, you don't get automatic credit. You have to apply for a rebate. When you apply for a rebate, you will make mistakes in that application. And one thing our government is very sure about, every exporter definitely makes some mistakes. Because documentation is not something very close to our heart. So net result is this: things get delayed, then your money gets locked, then your interest cost goes up. The money you have paid from your pocket, you're not getting it. All these things happen. So the first mandate given to Customs Department, and I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility, I know this. The mandate given to Customs Department is, by 2022, you have to be completely paperless. What does that mean? That means you will file your bill of entry in shipping bill using your computer. Nobody will go to customs. If somebody of you is CHA, take a serious note of this. Your job is limited. It's no more. We use a wonderful word in India for bribe. That word is under the table. No, under the table. What electronic documentation does? It removes the table. Now, what will you pay above and what will you pay under? Table itself is removed. Now, this is the problem. I give you only computer. Take the computer, write whatever you want. Right or wrong, I will check. But you have only computer. You have nothing to go there and check. This mandate is already given, and that is why Customs Department probably is in a great hurry, because this has to be compiled and finished. Trade Facilitation Agreement is a step in that direction. This was the first agreement which was concluded at WTO with 100% acceptance. What is meant by 100% acceptance? All 162 members of WTO accepted this agreement in principle. This was presented in 2013 Bali Ministerial Conference. That conference has decided the program, but the program has to be accepted. So draft agreement was made. That draft agreement was supposed to be given for confirmation from various countries, and that is how the story started. What was the basic idea? Basic idea was that we have vast amount of red tape all across the globe, not only in India. It's the same story. You go to CIS countries, you go to Latin American countries, you go to African countries, more or less the same story. Little facilitation you find in Europe, that too because you as a group have common parlors and things like that. But red tape was supposed to be reduced, and since red tape was supposed to be reduced, we require an agreement. That agreement, and India is one of the major players in 2000 Bali, particularly with reference to TFA. But what happened in TFA, because we were granting agricultural subsidies, this was objected by US. It took almost a year to resolve these differences. There we said we are an agricultural country, we have to offer support system, we have to offer a price for purchasing of cotton, happens to be one of those commodities where we are talking of prices. As a result of this, there were disputes, and this whole activity was stalled for some time. On 27th November 2014, the protocol of amendment we accepted, we went ahead. This was accepted by the WTO Secretariat. What is the purpose of this agreement? First, to expedite the movement, release and clearance of goods, including goods in transit. Second, to provide trade facilitation. Third, customs compliance. So, three issues were taken together. Now think of this, you are exporting something to Africa, there is a port called Dar es Salaam. So goods go to Dar es Salaam, then from there they are supposed to be taken by truck. Now Africa is a landlocked continent, so you take the truck. Now our DGFT office says give me a landing certificate. Now you have a landing certificate easily available up to Dar es Salaam. Subsequently, has it gone to that particular country or not? Then you ask for a document, you obtain a document which is in local language. Then our DGFT office says now give me a translation or give me a bill of entry. If you want bill of entry from your buyer, he says I am not interested in giving you any bill of entry. As a result of this, your incentives are getting delayed. Regular feature. This is red tape. Then you go back, okay, then the policy gets amended, then policy says okay, you give me a tracking report from the shipping company. Then you go to the shipping company. The shipping company says okay, 500 rupees or 1000 rupees per shipping bill. Your cost is gone. This happens. This practically happens. As a result of this, this was thought that it is necessary. This agreement aims to reduce the delays and costs incurred by importers and exporters due to inefficient control and clearance procedures of customs and other border authorities, unnecessary border formalities and documentation requirements, and opaque administrative fees and charges. All these three have to be taken into account. What is the estimate? If the costs are really reduced, it will add $1 trillion per annum. $1 trillion is $1,000 billion, and $1 billion equals to 6,650 crores if you take today's exchange rate. So that much business can increase per annum. And this has to be taken into account. Then it talks of the cost estimates, which are 12.5% to 17.5%. As I already told you, this is accepted by Parthasarathi Shom committee that yes, these are the charges. And Parthasarathi Shom committee was an empowered committee. You know who were the members of this committee? Secretary Finance, Secretary MSME, Secretary Revenue, Secretary Commerce. Who were other members? Ex-chairman of CPDT, ex-chairman of CBC. Anybody left out? Everybody agreed that yes, these are the rates, these are the costs. Then immediately what you need to do? Reduce the cost. That's the only option. You identify the cost, you have identified the costs. Now you reduce the costs. So, how much it is going to benefit us? And this is going to benefit more developing countries. It contains special and differential treatment Now there is a problem. You want to have scanners. Government says we don't have money. Then again, there are three types of countries in the world. You have developed countries, you have developing countries, you have least developed countries. Bangladesh doesn't have money to install scanners. So developed countries say we will provide a fund. You upgrade. Because unless until everybody upgrades, you cannot really do this transformation in a short period of time. So the modification that is required in the system is categorized in three parts. Commitment A, Commitment B, Commitment C. Commitment C is for least developed countries. Commitment A and Commitment B is for developed and developing countries. As far as we are concerned, 70% of Commitment A we have completed. 29% of Commitment B we have yet to do. My latest report is how 3 days before I was attending a program on trade facilitation agreement arranged by CII in Mumbai, where Principal Commissioner and people from Delhi participated. The last program of CII was on 8th of March in New Delhi, where Najib Shah, the chairman of CBSE, was supposed to participate. So, the information that I got it, government has sanctioned 2,200 crores for upliftment of the technological development, that is also the equipment that you require in the customs department, because we want to accelerate this process. So at Tuticorin, if you require 5 scanners, and you have to provide another 3 scanners. The moment you provide 3 scanners, your physical examination of the cargo gates away, and then your container can move fast. Ultimately, it reduces your inventory, it reduces your interest cost, it reduces your total cost. 2,200 crores have already been sanctioned. Why it has been sanctioned? Because this agreement is pushing this, that this needs to be done. So, facility was created at the request of LTC, money was created. This happened on 22nd of July 2014 in principle. The goal of this facility is to contribute to the implementation of trade facilitation agreement, so that is already done. And this trade facilitation agreement came into force on 22nd February 2017. The legal requirement of this agreement was that this should be ratified by 2/3 majority of WTO members. WTO has 164 countries as members. So the time that the number was fixed as 110. If 110 countries sign this, accept this, this becomes a binding agreement. That has happened on 22nd February 2017. How many days before? 15 days before. Now this will take speed. It's something like this. You want to send a contingent of players to Rio Olympic. Now my second news is your players have already reached. Now you have only 2 things left. Run, participate in the event, get me a medal. Now you cannot say, I will prepare, I will see next year. Nothing. You are already in Rio. This is your situation today. When did we agree to this? We ratified this on 22nd April 2016. We were the 76th country ratifying this. So from 2014 onwards to 2016, 76 countries ratified. On 22nd of February, this agreement came into force. That means this is the period of implementation. Given our situation, we will not implement all this within 6 months or 3 months, guaranteedly. So you consider a total span of roughly 2 years. And if we really expedite this, 1.5 years. If we are truly expediting this, 1 year. In 1 year, you will see this actually at the ground level. It's something like this. Some examples I should give you so that you understand the gravity of the subject. When mobiles were introduced in India for the first time, people used to believe, who will take mobiles? It costs so much, 9 rupees per minute. What is the story today? I'll give you figures. We have 95 crore mobiles and 4.5 crore landlines. This is today's picture. Now can you say that I will not buy mobile? How many of you are prepared that I ask you surrender your mobile? I'll give you landline once again. Are you interested? You're not interested. This is the situation with this agreement also. Within 1 year you will start feeling this. Because simply what government is ultimately saying, if I can do electronic communication, I can get rid of physical communication. Is it possible to do electronic communication? Of course, yes. Provided you have equipments, provided you have bandwidth, provided you have programs. If all these three can be combined and put together, this will happen. I was joking with somebody, please take it as a joke, don't quote me anywhere. I said that there was a talk between Mr. Modi and Mr. Trump, Donald Trump. And then it happened like this, that he congratulated Mr. Modi for introduction of GST. And he said, now I feel that there is some problem in technological implementation of GST. So what I will do, I will stop granting H1B visas to Indians. So automatically you will have engineers back home. And then you implement it fast. Jokes apart, but that is what is actually happening. Whatever time it takes for implementation and electronic implementation, that is the only way. The consensus has been done. Now go back to Indian society. Daughter has fallen in love with somebody, she wants to marry. As long as this is not a news that is spread across in the society, you are safe. Now this news has spread. Now what is the situation? Your own relatives are coming. What are you thinking about your daughter's marriage? They have overheard it somewhere. And then you decide, come under pressure, and then you say that, okay, somehow I will carry out the engagement so that people should not talk. Then you do the engagement. Now, same people come back and say, when are you getting married? So once a program is accepted, implementation becomes fast. As long as it is not accepted, fine, you can dilly-dally, do number of things. This program will be implemented the fastest. Why? World is interested in this. It is no more on you. Category A provisions, they come into, now understand this, whatever you have agreed in category A, they come into existence immediately. See, what is the word used here? Provisions will implement in the time the agreement into force or on the day member enters within 1 year. So that part is over. I was telling you within 1 year this will all get implemented. This is a legal obligation on you. Then comes category B, where you are given more time, but that time, as I said, 70% of our commitments come under category A, 29% come under category B. So category B will take some time, but category A is not likely to get any time. What it covers? There are 5 areas which are of most important: Article 5, Article 6, Article 7, Article 8 and Article 12. And all these, if you in depth go into this, you will find this relates to cutting down the procedural delays, disciplining the fees, disciplining the penalties, giving responsibility to the customs that you need to take action within a specified period of time. You cannot indefinitely delay things. At the end of the day, the entire trade facilitation agreement talks of reducing the cross-border time and cross-border costs. As I told you, 12.5 to 17%, which is a huge figure. If I can reduce this cost from, let's say, 17 or 12.5 to say 4% or 5% in a year, your product becomes automatically competitive in rest of the world by almost 8% margin. What is the margin you have in textiles? 5%. Now suppose I can increase this to 9%. Will you do better business? Of course, yes. This is how our exports will increase. That is why this agreement becomes essential. You should study, because this puts the entire customs administrations of the world into the same discipline. same agreement. And that is why TFA plays a very, very important role in any exporter or importer's life, more so for the exporter, because his costs are getting reduced, and that is something which is so far not in his control. It will give him strength to reduce those costs, but of course this is a knowledge activity and you require that kind of activity. There is no option left to this. Some options, some few points I will tell you. Just read the last one. For countries that have such a system, the conditions under which notifications or guidance may be made and maintained on the system and the actions taken as a consequence of this shall be subject to certain disciplines. So, all the government departments dealing with cross-border work will be subjected to disciplines. So, you are supposed to answer something and not answer something, upload that. Not only upload it for rest of the world. That should be known. Like our policies are known in rest of the world. You announce foreign trade policy and you want to see what is the foreign trade policy. Do you require a password? Or you can just go to ministry site and see the whole policy written down on it. And it's very interesting. My observation has been our importers read them more carefully than we read. And they know which incentives are granted to you before they are known to you. He says already incentive granted, reduce the price. And if you say no, it is not granted, he will quote your own reference that look, your ministry, your DGFT says it is already on the website. Because people are more knowledgeable, as simple as that. So this is one area. Detention. If customs or any border agency detains imported goods for inspection, it shall inform promptly the carrier and other related people. So information will move much faster. Test procedures. There will be number of test points. You will have a right to exercise second test. Customs says a consignment to customs laboratory. They give some result. You don't agree with it. You believe your consignment is correct. That result is not properly done. You have a right to ask for a second examination, and they will have to consider the result of the second examination. So it is no more left to the sole discretion of the customs, it is also left to your own discretion. General disciplines on fees and charges. This says fees should be charged only to the extent it is actually incurred. You cannot disproportionately charge the fee. The moment you have shipping regulatory in place and both TFA and AEO both are implemented, your shipping cost will go down. I cannot arbitrarily charge you for anything I wish. This becomes a binding requirement of the government to publish it on the website of the government so that anybody in the world can access this. That is another major change in this agreement. Specific discipline on fees and charges imposed on or in connection with importation and exportation both must be limited to the amount of approximate cost of the services rendered. So I cannot charge. One of the now overtime charges have been recently discontinued by customs. This is the result of this particular agreement. Penalty disciplines. Penalty should be commensurate with whatever you have done wrong. I cannot arbitrarily tell you I will subject you to 500% penalty. Sorry. You tell me what is my mistake, where did I go wrong, what is the implication of that, and then you charge me penalty. You cannot charge anything and everything that you wish. This will also discipline because the officer has to write under what category, under what section he is going to charge you this penalty, create the documentation for this, prove it to you. So it's a process. Article 7, pre-arrival processing. Now what they are planning that whatever is loaded at the loading port will be available in the scanned format here. And subsequently they are saying only scanning will do, there is no need of giving the documents. So I haven't received original documents, but I have scanned documents, I upload them, I take the responsibility. And customs ask from the loading port what container has been loaded at the loading port. If that document matches with this, I can clear your consignment. Because there is no place for submission of documents physically. That is biggest advantage of the TFA, that it says no need of submitting the documents physically. Electronic payment. All payment related to customs and cross-border must be done electronically. So there is no cash payment, it is RTGS transfer. We are ultimately going to follow the Australian system of clearance. I will tell you what is the Australian system of clearance. You upload your documents by scanning to the customs department, they OK it. You transfer the fees through RTGS and you print your own delivery order. You send that delivery order by email to your transporter and make a copy to the custodian, the port. He goes there and collects the cargo. The total clearance procedure is roughly 4 hours. This is what ultimately we are going to do. Will we do it in a day or two? We are Indians. We are not supposed to do it in a day or two. We will have our own problems. We will say this is not possible, that is not possible, server is not working, electricity is not there, n number of questions, but not for long. That's what I am saying. What is your commitment A? 1 year. Within 1 year, you will have to bring this to the level. I am saying we will take 2 years. No problem. Maximum 2 years. But within 2 years, your document has to be paperless. Now tell me, how many of you do paperwork? Please raise your hands. And for how many hours a day? And probably I believe you are all seniors, so how many hours a day your juniors are working in the office? You let them go home. Sir, this document is not complete, can I go? You allow them to, yes, no problem, go. What do you say? Complete this and go. Now it says custom house is closed. Still you complete because tomorrow morning who will do it? Can you imagine how many things are going away from this system if you remove the paper documents? That's what is expected to come in this. This is the most important aspect of this, and you mark my words, this will be the greatest change. What it says? Separation of release from final documentation, custom duties, taxes, fees and charges. That means there would be a situation where you will clear the goods without payment of customs duty, or you will have a deferred payment system which is already introduced in finance bill available to AEO operators. Currently they say for AEO 2 class we will give you deferred payment of 15 days. Whatever you clear between 1st and 15th, you pay duty on 17th. Whatever you clear between 15th to 31st, you pay duty on the 2nd day. Same like excise, you do invoicing throughout the month and you pay duty next month on the due date. So the moment you delink payment of duty for clearance of goods, your goods clearance will be faster. Then you need not wait for it. Currently it is 15 days. For AEO2 categories, next year I am sure, once GST is introduced, it will be 1 month. Risk management. All kinds of risk management techniques have to be applied for. Customs will have to amend. The future is self-clearance and post-audit. You take responsibility of clearance of your goods. You file all the documents correctly, you upload them correctly, you take the responsibility. I will only do audit at the end of the day. This audit is also quite spaced. It is 2 years, 3 years and 5 years. If you are AEO, Authorized Economic Operator, Category 1, 2 years, Category 2, 3 years, Category 3, 5 years. Once in 5 years. Ultimate aim is to trust you, allow you. Establishment and publication, this has to be done. Trade facilitation measures for authorized operators. This is a special section coming under this. Authorized operators are authorized economic operators. Facilitation to them. Expedited shipments. We will see this when we go into AEO more in detail, so you will have an idea. Perishable goods should be given the fastest treatment, because if you don't give them the fastest treatment, there is danger to the loss of the goods. So this is all planned under TFA. Border agency cooperation. Apply only those rules which are necessary for safety of the goods. Don't apply your import restrictions on goods made for Bangladesh or Nepal, because they are transiting from your country, they are not meant for your consumption. So cross-border currency, cross-border movement also is to be streamlined. And then customs cooperation. Customs is supposed to cooperate. This is one fundamental change which will take time. Customs currently is pro-revenue, and it has been rightly so pro-revenue. Now change is be facilitator. Take care of the revenue, no problem, but your approach should change. Approach should be that of cooperation. This will take time because this is a change of mindset. It doesn't happen so very easily. Nobody wants to give up the powers, but subsequently you are forced to give up the powers. It's like a situation of mother-in-law before the son gets married and after the son gets married. There is a big difference. Daughter-in-law has no place otherwise. After marriage, she has all the things. She says, Mom, you don't understand things. Okay, fine, I'll have to accept because my son says so. And this is the biggest problem. But this transition is troublesome. It takes time. But ultimately it will happen. It has to happen. There is no option. So what will happen when this gets completely implemented? You have reduction in transaction cost, clearance time, paper documentation, running around, fees and charges. That's why TFA is a very important agreement for all importers and exporters. Then AO. AO is also, if you truly speaking, it is also coming out of the TFA. But reference is little different. Is defined any party related to transactions, any party related to supply chain can become AO. It could be custodian, it could be port, it could be ICD, it could be exporter, it could be importer, it could be clearing agent, anything whosoever is connected to supply chain can become AO. And interestingly, they have reduced this limit. And now the limit is far too realistic. They say anybody who is filing more than 25 shipping bills can apply for AO. 25 shipping bills in a year. But what is the aim of this system? The aim of this system is to authorize somebody who can be trusted. Why? Because once you receive the AO status, goods are supposed to be cleared purely on your declaration. I am not going to look into. Again, I will give you family examples, it is easy to understand. Your child is 6-year-old, you don't give him the keys of the home. When he becomes 19, he asks for a second set of keys. And you hand it over to him. Because you believe now he is responsible, the keys can be given to him. Same situation here also. If you can become a trusted partner, facilitation can be given to you. That is the whole structure of AO. In the initial stage when it was originally introduced, it was thought of that this is only meant for big people, only meant for having turnover 500 crores plus. But with 25 shipping bills and 25 bill of entries for importer, if that is the threshold limit, even a small manufacturer can get into this particular system. But system doesn't come free of cost. Why? Because look at three things in cross-border trade, and this scenario is changed after 9/11, what happened in US. So there are three issues connected with this. What is the safety of the cargo? What is the security of the cargo? And what is the facilitation expected? So safety and security have been considered at the topmost level because that is the biggest threat. And the program aims of identifying the security and safety problems at the port of loading. So if you are a AU certified agency in India and you are exporting goods to a AU certified person in UK, nothing will be checked. Your goods will move faster, seamlessly, without any trouble because you have a AO certified number. written on your invoice. Based on that, clearance will be given. Responsibility is yours. Now, when you think of the safety angle and security angle, it requires a lot of structural amendments within the company. It's like, think of small things, because comparison we understand. You have a hospital and you have ICU. What is the difference between hospital and ICU? Within the same hospital you have the ICU. ICU is much more engaged with the safety of the person. ICU is much more controlled in terms of atmosphere, hygiene, cleanliness. So if you want to set up ICU, you require infrastructural changes. Same is the story with AO. If you want to be a AO operator, you have to go through number of things, number of changes. Like they insist that your warehouses must have CCTV. You have a warehouse, agreed, but it must have a CCTV. You should be able to monitor it. I have a friend who sits in Mumbai. He has a factory in Jaipur, and he handles the factory with his computer sitting on his table. He says, I open the computer, my factory, I can see on the computer itself what is going wrong. I need not go to Jaipur. Technology helps me do this. This program says, you do this. Take care of these things. Invest money. Upgrade yourself. Then I'll give you status. I cannot give you status without upgradation. Because the kind of security you are asking from me is something which allows you clearance of goods without any intervention from anybody. And not only here, in those countries also. Let me give you an example. If your container is supposed to go for examination in US, you know what is the cost involved? Anybody has experience? They have security problems. So what they do? They remove the container and take it to a specified place. When they take it to a specified place, the normal cost of moving the container and bringing it back is roughly $1,200. If you are a AO customer, it need not be. Just simply say, let it go. Because he is a AO customer, he has already taken the required things as far as the documentation is concerned, as far as the safety and security of the cargo is concerned. Then there is a third problem. That is why it has a security angle. Some consignment comes which has undesirable material, arms and ammunition stuffed in a container. AO program says, identify such kind of things at the port of loading so that you avoid the trouble. Now for this you require certain equipments at customs, certain procedures to be followed by the AO customer. So it talks of, as I told you, three things: trade facilitation, safety and security of the cargo, and technological developments that you need in your own company. My suggestion to you, you should try at every level, provided you are prepared to do fundamental changes. If you are not prepared to do fundamental changes, it is extremely difficult. Because then you go ahead with the application and then you say, I will not do this, I will not do this. That is not acceptable. Better one should understand what all is needed and then one should go ahead with this. Preparation for AU application. First, simple requirements, legal requirements. Last 3 years track record. The first condition is that you should be making profits in last 3 years. If you are making losses in last 3 years, we will not give you AU status. Second, prosecution against senior management. If there is any case pending against senior management which is related to prosecution, again you will not be considered. What corrective steps and SOPs you are going to maintain? Normally we don't have SOPs because Indians believe that we find the way while going on the way. There is no need of deciding the way in advance. A German doesn't understand this. It's very interesting. If you go to Germany, this is a damn interesting thing. Our hospitality and his hospitality concepts are completely different. For a German, you should be given complete freedom. So what he will do? He will send you a very nice prepared note that this is the airport, this is your hotel. If you want to travel by taxi, this is the way. If you want to travel by tram, this is the way. If you travel by train, this is the way. This is how you stay there. Everything else he will display, he will give you messages, etc., etc., everything. Our hospitality concept is go to Coimbatore airport and pick him up. No? So an Indian fellow goes there and waits for some German will pick you up. He says, I have already given you all information. What is there to pick up? Go to your hotel and stay. Why are you asking me these kind of things? It's very interesting to see how culturally people are different. I have a very live case. One junior and his senior both went to Barcelona, Spain, and both were asked this question: do you require any kind of transport arrangement? And it was asked by a male because the place was inside, quite travel, almost 1.5 hours. The junior promptly replied the male that yes, I want this, and their flights were different. Senior thought, I am senior after all. I am not a small fellow. You have to take care of me. How do you say you don't take care of me? So he didn't inform anything. Now he is looking for a taxi by the time the junior reached the office. Because taxi was provided for him. Taxi was not provided for him. Then he went and he complained. He said, sir, sorry, we have already told you. You never looked into your mail. What can I do about it? Please understand, this is what it is. Is it happening in India? Tell me. Yes, it happens because now you have Ola. What Ola does? You put something on mobile, it catches you. No problem. Do you have Ola app or Uber app on your mobile? How many of you have? Oh, large number. So in a small place like Tirupur also, technology has already reached. This is interesting about India. Whatever is for my personal convenience, that technology I always accept. Whatever when it comes to business, then I start thinking of iski cost kya lagegi. Should I pay this cost? I should not pay this cost. If it is personal, I don't mind doing anything. No, this has to be reversed. There is no option. If you want your business to be efficient and successful, you need systems, you need equipment. They have to be given. There is no option to it. Earlier, why AU was not successful? One reason I will tell you. Because any show cause notice issued disqualifies you. And there is hardly any company in India where show cause notice is not issued, either by service tax, excise or customs. So you always have some show cause notice pending. Now they have changed the criteria. What is the change criteria? Total duty deposited plus minus drawback taken. That means suppose you have paid in a year duty worth 20 crores and you have taken a drawback of 5 crores. What is the net government has received? 15 crores. If your disputed amount is less than 10%, your case can be considered. If your disputed amount exceeds 10%, then it cannot be considered. So even if you have a show cause notice pending against you, but the show cause notice and the implication of that is up to 1.5 crores, you have no problem, your case can be accepted. There are serious exemptions for this. For example, if there is something which can be converted as a fraud, you cannot be accepted. If you have done something by way of forgery, you cannot be accepted. If you have done something smuggling, you cannot be accepted. Clandestine records and any collections which you have collected money but not paid. That you have collected the service tax by raising an invoice but you have not paid to the department. So these are criminal offences. Barring criminal offences, if you have a problem and your total amount in dispute is less than 10% of what duties you have actually paid, you can still be considered for AU concept. There is no problem on this. This is a major change that has taken place. Benefits. AU will be recognized worldwide as safe, secure and compliant person. Will be given a low risk score. If physical control are to be conducted, AUs will be given priority. Most important aspect is mutual recognition. Mutual recognition with India is currently only with 3 countries. But worldwide mutual recognition is extended to 60 countries. What exactly is meant by mutual recognition? Exporter is AU, importer is AU, nothing to be checked. Their customs will not check, your customs will not check. So goods will simply move. That's the idea behind this. Reduce data sets. Probably from AO, tomorrow they will only ask summary declarations, no documents also. There are only 3 essential documents described in the policy now: commercial invoice, bill of lading, airway bill or transport document, and bill of entry. You scan them, there is no paper copy required. Only on the basis of these 3 documents goods can be cleared. They will not be required to provide financial security. So for AU 1 it is 50% of bank guarantee normally. For AU 2 it is 25% of bank guarantee if bank guarantee has to be taken. For AU 3 category no bank guarantee has to be taken, completely waived. So depending on your track record, your financial requirements go down. Indian AU program, which is based on WCO, taken from WCO as it is. This is the revised circular issued in Circular 33/2016, because by then government was sure that we are signing TFA. Since you are signing trade facilitation agreement, you have to actually provide for facilitation, and that is why new circular is issued. This is the master circular for all AO programs. This includes inclusion of direct port delivery without moving the goods through CFS. In Mumbai, they are talking about reduction of cost by roughly 10,000 rupees per container if the goods are not to move to CFS and then given delivery. 10,000 rupees per container 20 feet, 15,000 rupees per container 40 feet. Inclusion of direct port entry for factory stuffed containers. Separate kind of seals are being prescribed, nothing will be checked. Your container will be directly delivered to the port, so there is no buffer period, nothing of that sort. Your consignment can definitely be tracked within a specified period of time. Special focus on small and medium scale industries. As I told you, if you are filing 25 import bill or 25 bill of entries or 25 shipping bill, not 12 and 12, 25 individually. Otherwise, I file 13 shipping bills and 12 bill of entries considered, we know. They require certain amount of size for granting this accreditation, that is why. And provision of deferred payment of duties. As I told you, this is already introduced. You need not pay the duty for 15 days. Which is next year, definitely it will go for a month. Faster delivery of drawback amount, faster tracking of refunds. Post GST refund would be the most important aspect. Though not scheduled for today, I will give you some inputs, exports and GST, what exactly is going to happen. Self-certified copies for FTAs. Currently, you go to Export Inspection Agency, obtain a certificate of origin under free trade agreement so that your importer can claim benefit. If you are a AO client, you are allowed to do it yourself, so your transaction cost in export inspection is gone. Request based on site inspection, examination. If you want certain things where you are doubtful about that this should be cleared by the customs, you can do that, especially paperless declarations with no supporting documents. That means you only scan. Scan the copies, upload. There is nothing to be filed. Recognition by partner government agencies. So you will get the same treatment in other partner government agencies. And mutual recognition. So 99% we have copied it from the WCO, utilized in Indian context. If you want this roadmap, please remember, knowledge sharing, first part, health check. How are your records, how are your systems, looking into it. Then preparation, process of development, and application and audit, because there would be audit after 2 years, so hand-holding kind of a thing. These are 4 processes involved this. If you are prepared to do all this, it is worthwhile going in for AO. Because it will definitely reduce your cost. Of course, initially you have to invest. If I want CCTV, I want CCTV. I want this to be controlled by a finger, it has to be controlled by a finger. You cannot say, I will not do this. Then he'll say, sorry, I'll not do it. Then I'll not give you. And there is one more empowerment given to the AO programmer which comes from New Delhi. That AO programmer can allow you certain deficiencies if he is satisfied that it is not required. For example, you operated 5 different branches and your system at 5 different manufacturing locations. Your system is exactly the same what you follow. Then I'll say I'll examine one. You give me a declaration, all other 4 follows this, I will not examine them. I will give you certification for all of them. But please understand, this is something like you have come here, so you have an expectation of a hall, you have an expectation of a chair, you have an expectation of a projector, this, light, AC, probably coffee, tea. These are all expectations coming out of a system. When we say, if it is compliant, yes, you are accredited. If it is not compliant, you are not accredited. Same situation follows in this particular case. What fundamental changes it makes? First, huge workforce will not be required because all unproductive work that you do goes away. Then you can train people, put them somewhere else, which will help you increase your turnover. Workforce need to be knowledgeable. They must have the expertise to handle things. Excellent knowledge of electronic documentation and processing would be must. Without that, you will not be able to succeed in this particular area. Now comes the incentives part. As I told you, I am telling you the date on which incentives will go. And I am no Jyotishi. I am no astrologer. I am not looking at Mars and Moon and telling you nothing of that sort. What is available from statistics, that I will tell you. There is an agreement. This agreement is incorporated in WTO and it says that if there is a financial contribution made by the government, it amounts to a subsidy. There are 3 conditions attached to this. The financial contribution by a government or any agency nominated by the government which confers a benefit. If all 3 are existing, it amounts to a subsidy. Financial contribution by government, it could be loans, it could be guarantees, it could be direct transfer of money, it could be credit of tax credit given to you, it could be exemption from excise like in Himachal and Uttaranchal. All these comes under the term subsidy. Subsidy could be enterprise specificity, it could be industry specificity, it could be regional specificity. But export subsidies are supposed to be prohibited subsidies. Export subsidies are not supposed to be given. Now, when this anti-subsidy agreement was inserted into WTO rules, they have said that all countries are not at the similar level. So, we need to make some distinction. And for distinction, they have created a criteria, a scientific criteria. That criteria, if you are coming in that criteria, you can give subsidies. The criteria is very simple. Any country having per capita income less than $1,000 for 3 consecutive years. If your income is less than $1,000, you can continue giving subsidies as long as you want. But if you cross $1,000 per capita for 3 continuous years, then you cannot give subsidies. And such countries were listed in Annex 7 of this agreement. This $1,000 is to be calculated based on the constant dollar value in the year 1990. So it has a lot of reference to that. We entered into WTO in 1995. This is a law created prior to that 1990. It is known as anti-subsidy and countervailing measures. What does it mean? If because of subsidy you are reducing the price, action against the exporter can be taken by the importing country in the form of imposition of CVD. CVD can be imposed on. That is called countervailing duty, equivalent to the subsidy portion. Now this is the story. I am a little crack guy. When I was studying this subject, I thought, why not write to WTO straight away? Where is India? Tell me, na? What's wrong in asking? And it's interesting, they normally reply in 24 hours. Doesn't take longer than that. So I asked this question. They said this is the status of India 2012, 2013 and 14. If I take these 3 years into account, as per the WTO data, these are the countries coming in Annex 7. I will show you the next slide. What is India's per capita income in 2012? 993. What is 2013? 1051. What is 2014? 1100. Now it says if you continue continuously for 3 years and you cross $1,000, you cannot give subsidies. Now look at, when was this opted? I have given the date, 19/5/2016. If I write to them again on 19/5/2017, will I get the figure of 2015? Yes or no? Yes. But we will not wait for that. This is the rule. Export subsidies will have to be discontinued once you cross. So I try to extrapolate figures. First part, which are considered to be subsidies. So if you look at the old policy, SFIS, all other schemes covered by chapter 3. If you consider the new schemes, MEIS and SEIS and EPCG, because in EPCG scheme, you get a concession subject to export obligation. So that amounts to a subsidy. And EPCG goods are never exported out of India. Machine itself stays in India, it is never exported. So you cannot compare similar to advance authorization. So EPCG scheme is in danger and MEIS scheme is also in danger, provided we cross $1,000 per capita for 3 consecutive years. Now see this, 993 to 1051, the increase is 5%. So I apply the same rate and I find that in 2015, come what may, my income crosses $1,000 per capita. So you cannot give, yes or no?
Yes.
If you just want to follow the rule. Now I have a document from Ministry of Commerce signed by Commerce Secretary which says that we know that we have crossed $1,000 per capita in 2015. So they have requested all export promotion councils, give us the methods by which incentives, because these incentives cannot be continued, they don't say this. But they say this cannot be given, only this much they say, suggest us some ways, what can we give you which is more production based instead of any kind of incentives. Now what will you suggest in terms of production base? Difficult task. Developed countries have already accepted this in Tokyo around 1973. What is important now is that this has become binding on developing countries also. So you cannot say this was only meant for developed countries, they should give away. No, we will also have to do the same thing. What is most important? There is Article 4 which says, if you continue giving subsidies in spite of coming under this, action can be taken against you. Procedural rules part 5. Action is very simple. I will conduct an investigation against you. If it is proved your goods are subjected to export subsidies, equal amount of countervailing duty is imposed in that country. That means your product becomes that much costlier. Will you be able to maintain? Answer is no. This is the process by which they impose these duties. So in conclusion, we may not be getting any incentives, chapter 3, from 2018 onwards. Why? Because there is a review of policy scheduled on 30th September 2017. Even if we decide to continue that, okay, let others take action, another 6 months, not more than that. So 3% loss, guaranteed, don't count. And if you want to have EPCG, have it immediately. My suggestion to you, before this gets implemented, before 30th September comes, complete your EPCG things fast. Because if you do it before 1st of July, you will get exemption from GST also. If you clear your consignment post 1st of July, you will get exemption only from basic custom duty. So if there is 26% duty charged today and you get exemption of all 26, that will be limited to 7.5, balance you will have to pay. Simple as that. So in conclusion, we may not be getting any incentives. What is the option left to us? TFA and AEO, that will reduce your actual cost, and we therefore must have to rely on our own competitive strength. But I firmly believe we all have that inherent entrepreneurial spirit in us. We can fight these cases and reach. Let me give you one more option of increasing your exports. That is what we call e-commerce. Small consignments directly exported to the fellow. Whether you get incentives or you don't get incentives, work on e-commerce platform. Because for a place like Tirupur, that is something which would be very, very interesting. At the end of any workshop, I give a thought. So thought is this is today's thought. The last point which I would touch upon is GST. The rates accepted for GST are 0, 6, 18 and 24. Almost certain. All your exemption schemes would be limited to basic custom duty only. The major things that might go away is small scale exemption 1.5 crores completely. Jumbo exemption notification 12 by 2012, both on excise as well as on customs, that will also go away. Product specific exemptions, that will also go away. The proposed program is like this: you pay GST, take the duty, take the credit. When you export the goods, I will give you refund of the credit. That refund is said to be 7 days for 90% of your amount due. 10% would be subject to scrutiny, roughly about 30 days. If you totally look at the impact of GST, first, your cash outflow will increase substantially. That means your interest cost is going to go up, and you will have to see that your mechanism of refund is proper and in place. That automatically means documentary compliances. Third most important point of GST is this, that anybody who is having turnover pan India more than 20 lakhs will automatically get covered under GST. So small scale exemption 1.5 crore, I need not do this, that all is gone. I am telling you today only, this is the actual scenario on 1st July 2017. There are some people in India who believe it may not be introduced. Let me give you the legal position. The amendment passed in the parliament does not allow central government to impose excise duty from 15 September 2017. If you want to continue with the existing system, you have to get the second amendment passed in the parliament, which is unlikely. So whether right or wrong, faulty, otherwise, whatever, GST will be introduced on 1st of July. If you want to delay it, it can maximum be up to 15th of September 2017. July and September is not far away, so it will be introduced on 1st of July. Take my words for granted. You have to be compliant with GST, because again, every single invoice has to be electronically uploaded. There is no room for it, and your credit will depend on whether the fellow has paid the duty or not, and that reconciliation will be done within 60 days. So not only that you have to be compliant, you will also have to be compliant. Your vendors have to be compliant. You should be able to correlate, and this all will be seen on your own computer screen, including whether he has paid the GST or not. And if it is meant to 20 lakhs as a threshold limit, you can imagine the number of SSEs that will increase. So your uploadation on the electronic documentation is going to increase. My request to you, study that well, because that is short-term and long-term impact of GST immediately felt. First year would be difficult. You will start receiving the fruits of this because of expansion of the tax base by 2018 onwards. But this is something one has to do if you are looking at the long term thing. To conclude, I will repeat once again. TFA, FTA, AEO and GST. These are your 4 milestones, 4 difficulties, 4 everything, 4 opportunities, whatever you want to call it. These are 4 economic events that will decide the future course. Of course, we have a lot to grow in exports. There is a lot of potential. People are dissatisfied with China. People want to come to India. The problem is we have constant problems on ease of doing business. If this can be sorted out, our exports will grow. And I believe with this kind of a spirit that you have, it is not very difficult to achieve 30-40% growth in a year, provided you take some positive action in terms of e-commerce. That is something I would request. I must thank all the 3 Nareshas with different names for inviting me over here. And I hope whatever we deliberated would be of some practical use to you. Thank you so very much.